extended level near 25,074. Entering here without a minor pullback to consolidate the recent expansion increases the risk of being caught in a liquidity sweep or a short-term rejection. Summary. The market is currently trending upwards, meaning prices are moving higher and show strong buying power. Because all our timeframes are aligned in a positive direction, the probability of the trend continuing is currently high. You should wait for a small dip in price to occur before looking to join this upward movement to ensure you are not buying at the very peak. Always remember to manage your risk carefully and stay disciplined regardless of the market direction.
I love that he said that, man. So guys, as those who have been kind of following him for a bit, notice
He's getting better.
he's getting better. You notice that? Not only that, he's getting confident to start throwing out numbers, right? On that. And some of the verbiage in the summary he's getting better at, where he's saying, manage your risks, stay disciplined, things like that. Like, those are some things we want to encourage him and allow him to say, right? And so, pretty cool, man, to watch this evolve, huh? So, I don't want to get lazy on it, right? I'm going to try to inject my thoughts here in between. So far, he's not wrong, right? Bullish pressure, we're up there. He's got pretty high confidence of the bullish pressure. He was at 6, then he went to 3, now he's at 8, right, from the last push. Now, mind you, he's reading the candles prior to the time that he did, right, 1 minute prior. So if he looked at it here, he's looking at their back, right? So his 8 out of 10 played out pretty well, right? Now, we know market open is market open, guys. He's not giving signals. Do not just take a trade, right, because of what he says. We still have to understand the session. He's learning the sessions and how they react. We know in market open, we love to sweep high, sweep low, sweep high. It's just a normal market open progression, right, that we do. So as we come down here into our low, what's so important on this is if we want to remain very bullish, we need to have our sweep high and then on the sweep low remain higher low, right? See how it's on this trend here? If we get another push here, it's going to be violent. If we get a breakdown of that, it's going to test the 200. If the 200 sweeps, it'll be violent. If we breach this 200 close below, then we're now in a normal market open, swing high, swing low, creating our ORB, right, to set that. So what I like to do from here is I like to go to the micro and just kind of see how is it acting, right? Like, this is a double top, came through, we got a breach wick there, closed below. This should have taken it to here. If we reclaim this and we breach back up, it's probably going to move pretty good because it should have taken it to there, right? And we're still above that 200, prospectively, right? So overall, right, we want to kind of be really, really cautious. We have a lot of cautious taking shorts, right, till we get confirmation, because we do have a sweep high that did come down, but we are above my macro POC. We are above the 5-minute 200 EMA, which is this one. We are above our VWAP. We are above the 5-minute LISMA, right? So if you're taking shorts here, above the 1 minute 200, right, EMA, if you're taking shorts there, then it's going to be, it's risky, right? We could breach it and just dump, but you could get a really nasty bounce, right? If you want to look for an OA short, right, we would want to see a breach wick, rear back, close below, and then we have OA to there, right? That would be your short entry if you're looking bearish. Anything short of that, I'm kind of cool with it. If they wanted to trap the bears, right, sweep this here, give me the close, and then sweep it back, and then that's where I would look to
The market
that long.
structure currently reflects a tug of war between a bullish 5 minutes bias and a sharp, bearish rejection on the 1 minute time frame. Price has pushed into a liquidity sweep near the recent highs only to experience a heavy, impulsive rejection that reclaimed the 1 minute anchored VWAP and EMA levels to the downside. Because the 1 minute structure has flipped bearish following a failed expansion, the current environment is highly volatile and structurally conflicted.
See the support?
Sentiment, bearish, pressure, confidence. 3 out of 10. Reason. The 1 minute time frame shows a clear failure to maintain higher levels, resulting in a swift move back through the anchored VWAP and EMA trend lines, signaling a localized reversal of intent. Concerns. The 5 minutes time frame remains bullish, supported by its LSMA and EMA 200, which creates a significant risk of a trap, where price might find support at these levels rather than continuing Lower. Summary. The market is currently showing a sharp drop after failing to break to new highs, suggesting sellers are in temporary control. Because the longer-term trend is still pointing upward, this current dip might just be a brief pullback rather than a permanent change in direction. I advise you to stay on the sidelines until the market picks a clear side. Instead of trading in this conflicting, choppy environment, patience is your best tool right now.
I love that he's saying things like, I advise you. That's some stuff that we're, like I said, as he's learning, getting smarter, I want him to, as he grows, to feel, or have you guys feel like it's truly a coach. Referencing to himself. Like some of the leeway we've given him is things like, say things like, I recommend this, I think this, or I want it to be very, directed to kind of that feel, right? And so really cool to see him doing that kind of stuff. You can see his bullish push here was valid on that. His bearish pressure, he's really low confident in that bearish pressure. His concerns was that the high time frames are going to hold a significant support, which could give you a very big risk of a trap, which they did. And funny, because our trap indicator actually called it as a trap area. So cool to see that work, right? But as far as trades, guys, again, I'm going to always just kind of look at this. We're looking for OA safer trades. If you're trading in market open, you should always be a little lower volume. 1, 2 M and Q. Nothing crazy. Set your TPs, trail them accordingly. I'll kind of call out those as I see it. He's not really wrong. We're in a big area of kind of messy, right? We've now have a area of resistance, an area of support. We swept our high. We absorbed back down. This is critical. If we can't break this and we stay above these areas, we're going to get a pretty big explosion, right? Because it's a very big trap. So don't be in a short on it for right now. If you want to go short, you've got to at least get a breach wick close below, and then that is going to dump because it's pretty OA. The high-low of the open matters, guys. Like, if we go high here and then the low, again, like I said, can't break that key area, at some point it's going to pop back up, right? And so we see that the micro is giving us a double bottom. We push, we held the neckline of the double bottom, and we're pushing. That double bottom neckline hold with the hammer suggests it should push back up here, right? Giving a close above there. If we don't breach a close above here, right? So when I say things like that, that's your kind of entry of area, right? Is you're going to get that breach, close, and then you have the OA. If we don't get that close above there, then likely it's going to fail, right? And be pretty significant. So this is where it comes into, you got to be really patient, right? And with your entries on it. So let's wait and see what he wants to do. Oh, we got a breaker block over here too now. So 522. It's got to be this upper one, yeah. That's an A+. Shoot, I haven't even seen that before. A+ on a buy. Wow. So, like you guys know with these boxes this indicator creates, it's an A+ setup, high time frame alignment. I've actually never seen it give that high of a score. But it's not confirmed until it breaks out of the box, right? So the upper part of the box is 106. So I want to see where is that. Okay, so that's actually the high, right? It's just that it's measuring the high of that candle. So this is saying we're in an A+ setup to go long really big if we break this high, right? So if we get the breach here and the close, that indicator is saying it's a pretty safe OA trade. So let's analyze all of our time frames. So if we break here and get a close, that would put us here, which our 15-second aligns with.
The market is exhibiting a consolidation phase within a broader bullish trend as price remains above the 5 minutes in 1 minute EMA 200 levels and the 5 minutes LSMA. While the structure is technically bullish, the most recent price movement shows a struggle to sustain momentum above the recent high, resulting in an inside range formation that lacks clear directional breakout intent, sentiment, bullish pressure, confidence. 4 out of 10. Reason. Price is trading above both the 1 minute and 5 minutes EMA 200 and the 5 minutes LSMA. maintaining a structural baseline of support despite recent volatility. Concerns. The current price action is trapped in a sideways range, failing to establish a clean, higher high sequence, which indicates a lack of immediate buying conviction to push through. Resistance. Summary. The market is currently resting in a neutral zone despite being in a longer-term upward trend. Because price is not clearly moving in one direction, it is best to wait for a strong breakout above recent highs or a clear reversal.
Yeah.
For now, there is no high probability setup to trade. Be patient and wait for price to show a definitive path.
Getting a buy. So we got the buy there, played out. Getting a buy in the micro, supporting his thought. He's saying should go up, but we need, like I was just saying, right? We need close above to give that confirm, right? We're still just very internal in the range. So this did push. It failed to create, for me, a substantial low sweep. Shows more strength, right? Our ORB is actually not that wide, which is usually pretty wide. And so that doesn't show, ton of weakness, if you will. And so far spot on, right? So let's just continue to interpret what he's saying, mixed with what we know. So we have the buy here. We got a couple buys there. Looking good. This is talking about an A+ setup. I'll be honest with you guys, like, Paul created this thing, but I've seen behind the curtain, and I've watched this a lot, and I have not seen it. I don't know, Ryan, I know you really focus and love that one. Like, have you seen an A+? I've seen an A.
I haven't.
Oh yeah, Brandon.
Are you in that buy on the 1 minute?
This one, my middle time frame is always the 1 minute. This is 15 second, 5 minute, 1 minute, always. So we got the buy there. We're pushing up. The trap suggests that it's pushing up, right? On that, the A+ setup, suggests. I mean, he's suggesting. So let's go on
Let's see if
it.
we get this liquidity at this level here.
Hey Duff, if you can mute. I don't want to hear that background. If you can see the flat bottom here, right? We got flat bottoms there, flat bottom here. We're pushing up. If you're in that buy right now, which mine is on there, I'm gonna trail it. I'm trailing a flat bottom. We got the breach of the ORB there, right? So that ended up playing out pretty good. His bullish, stuff was pretty locked on. If you guys ended up taking this trade here, you guys remember what I said, right? Where this right here gave us our support on the double bottom. We got the push. Any kind of close above there is where you would want to take it. This gave you the kind of the confidence to do it because you have a push, a hold on the highs, right, with the close above. That close above is what I was talking about from there, which would have gave you that entry. So y'all put a thumbs up. Did anybody take that on that? I think I saw some of you guys putting them already. Oh, a lot of you took it. Good deal. So now, as we're pushing up, right, we do have that higher ORB area. This is our prior high. We did create a new high, but we did reject back into it. When you see this kind of structural setup, you have here and you have here that are really critical. If we stay above 090 on the micro, which look, that's why we're trying to bounce here. If we stay above that, it's going to pop again. We breach below that, we're going to get a deep pullback back down to about here. And so let's just see how this lines up. There we go, coming in. All right, so looking at just kind of risks, I don't see anything on any of this stuff. If anything, everything just says
The
it's
market
going to go up.
structure is clearly bullish across all time frames, with price consistently holding above the 5 minutes in 1 minute EMA 200 and the anchored VWAP, indicating strong institutional
Just be
support.
careful, guys. 'Cause
The most
remember,
recent push has established a higher high near the 25,107 level, and while there is minor range-bound activity, the overall price progression remains biased toward continuation as long as the recent support levels hold. Sentiment. Bullish pressure. Confidence. 7 out of 10. Reason. The market is exhibiting a clear bullish sequence with structural alignment across the 5 minutes, 1 minute, and 15 seconds time frames. All trend indicators, including the EMA 200 and anchored VWAP, are sloping upward and acting as dynamic support for the current leg up. Conk. Earns. The current price is experiencing an
Conk. Sorry.
inside range
He's working on his
behavior following
verbiage.
the recent aggressive push to new highs, which often Proceeds a cooling off period or a minor pullback to test previous breakout levels before further expansion. Summary. The market
Little
is
bit of a
currently
bull
trending
flag
upwards,
possible here,
meaning
guys. See
prices
that?
have been consistently making new high points. It is a good time to watch for buying opportunities, but you should wait for the price to stabilize rather than jumping in while it moves sideways. Always ensure the price stays above key support levels before considering a move. Remember, patience is your best tool to avoid buying at the very peak of a short-term move.
Yeah. Good advice, right? So we've opened the door to let him give a little more advice of things like that in the summary. So I love how he just said that, right? Patience is your key. You know, there's a possibility of a pullback. You know, you don't want to buy at the top of things, right? And so I love that he's identifying that. So we want to revert back to our micro, macro, all that, right? Macro is clearly bullish. 1 minute we are bullish with flat bottom, but we are in a hammer doji situation. Close below that is going to sweep it. Close above it is going to pump it. This was a push, kind of forming a parallel I was watching, and to me those a lot of times break out north. But it, you know, being in a market open, we can for sure collapse it. Now, if my macro is very bullish, my 1 minute is very bullish, my micro is going to be the one that tells me, are we starting to lose steam? So if I have a bullish pattern here that breaks down, that's going to tell me that we're starting to likely reverse, right? The 1 minute's going to see further downside. So let's kind of watch and see. So far we kind of have like a little bit of a hammer or absorption. This is our low, this is our high. If we reclaim this, get above the high, it's likely going to breach wick, close, and we'll go above. If we close below that, we're going to get a sweep to these lower levels. Tons of support in here. Tons of support, right? This is a big grouping of support. This is a big grouping of support. These are kind of the OAs in between, right? So I kind of want to see how it handles this. For now, you can also see within our box, that was the A plus setup, right? It is kind of tapping that top. Remember, for that bigger move, because that's our macro side of the indicator, I would need it to close above that kind of 106 right there, right? And so you can see this was our prior high. We've definitely breached it, but we're pulling back. So that's why when he talks about, you know, always know the market conditions and structures, right? And you have to be prepared for those potential pullbacks on those. So far that our bull flag theory was our first kind of breakdown on that. So let's watch that. Let's see if we get support here. Just because this doesn't qualify as that pattern I was looking at, or if it collapsed, however you perceive it, right? If you think about it, take the pattern out of it. We got the deep doji with compression, close below. That's the pullback that I was referring to. So now we're hitting the support. As the support hits, right, we have some good setups here on the micro. Close above here, would likely try to push it. We do have a little bit of a minor breach wick of Lisma. Usually I don't. Market open's complicated, right? But most of the time when Lisma's kind of straight like that, it's not usually a huge sign of we're going to break it. It's usually more of a sign of it's going to bounce, right? Doesn't mean it can't, right? Because of market open. But so let's look and see. Now we know that this rejection here is normal. Came back, we got the doji, closed below, the sweep is normal. This sweep should take it to there, right? Which would still create a higher low. If we can't get to there and we can create a hammer close above, then that is just a push, halfway liquidity, right? Because see, you have the low here, the high here, halfway liquidity into a hammer close, and then that's going to jump, right? So we got to see kind of which way that direction wants to go from it. And then we'll watch. Let's see. So far, you can see if you want to take even just a brief trend line, right, to kind of stay a little safer, you have that one that you would want to do, and then a lot of times I do what I call kind of Gann fanning it out. You can pull it down like that. This obviously didn't respect it, so I'd probably line it up with that one. That's only on the micro, because again, I want to see, you know, what's the micro telling me? Is bullish things playing out or is bearish things playing out, right? And so when you zoom out here, we have these prior
The
highs.
market structure across the
I'm doing
5-minute and 1-minute timeframes maintains a bullish bias as price remains above the EMA 200 and the anchored VWAP. However, the most recent price movement shows a transition From a strong expansion to a series of lower highs and a struggle to reclaim the momentum seen during the early push, indicating a corrective phase within the broader trend. Given the conflicting signals between the current downward price progression and the still bullish underlying trend averages,
See?
the market is
should
currently
push
in a
from
state of
there.
consolidation requiring patience. Sentiment. Bullish pressure. Confidence. 4 out of 10. Reason. The broader 5 minutes and 1 minute structural indicators, including the EMA 200 and anchored VWAP, remain firmly bullish, providing a baseline support for price. Concerns. The most recent price progression shows a failure to hold higher levels, and the current momentum is corrective, creating high risk for a trap if attempting to buy into this immediate weakness. Summary. The market is currently in a resting phase after a strong upward move, meaning it is not a good time to trade. You should wait for the price to show clear signs that it is moving back in the direction of the main trend before making any decisions. Forcing a trade now, while the price is struggling, is risky and likely to lead to losses. Stay patient and wait for the market to reveal its next clear path.
Love it. So anyways, guys, like I was saying, just from understanding market structure, when you have these pushes, you get the doji, the close below, we know that that pulls. That likely should pull to here. Normally when this is Lisma on this angle, it doesn't break that. It's more of a jump. But again, like I said, market open, the volatility of it can push it through whatever it wants. But the normal progression would be to come back, test this. This is a huge area, guys, huge. Because if we sweep this, right, it's going to drop pretty good. We're going to chase this probably EU or London low. If we bounce here, right, see how we're getting this here? If we get a bounce here that breach wicks there with a close above, right, then it's going to jump really hard north. So keep an eye on it. 5 minute, we have a trap area here, and it's actually calling a trap area there, 523 with a B. So interesting, right? It's a very interesting setup for the day. The 1 minute did call a trap there on 605. It was only a C, but played out, so that's pretty cool. For the trap area low, anything that stays above 021, right, runs the risk of jumping. Anything that breaches that with some kind of steam, right, we'll drop it, right? So let's watch that. So we're getting our pull. So these actually are good setups I like, because now that we have this pull, right, if we pull below and then we reclaim it, it actually sets up a better possible bounce, right? If you're one that wants to take shorts, just kind of zoom out, look at your overall structure, right, like this. So if you take here, this is your kind of bottom, if you will, of that. So if you look at that, right, for us to come down all the way into there before we bounce again or breach it and just dump, it's well within what the structure can and should do, right? And so when you get these kind of setups like this, I mean, really, if you think about it, all we are is up, down, up, down. It's really all we've done, right, in a nutshell. So let's look for the reclaim on that. Let's see. If we get the reclaim of this, we're going to come up and test that. We know the oscillation of our trend. So we have a breach here, close above that will push us up to there. We also are a little conflicted because we have a breach here, right? So close above below that should push us to there. So we are very conflicted in things. I think anything above here is dangerous to short, because you could hit it and just absolutely landmine, right? Anything until we breach probably this area is going to be risky for longs, right? Because of the fact, the way that we're in this kind of downtrend, right? If we do breach this here, a breach wick close above would be pretty OA to push back up.
The market is
Anything
exhibiting
short of
strong
that,
bearish alignment
we're
across
looking
all
to
primary
chase the,
timeframes,
EU low.
as price has consistently broken below the anchored VWAP and is currently testing the support established by the 5 minutes EMA 200 and 5 minutes LSMA. The recent price progression shows a clear sequence of lower highs and lower lows, indicating that the bearish intent is dominant and currently unchallenged by any meaningful reclaims. Given the lack of a stabilizing base or reversal structure, attempting to catch this move at current levels without a clear pullback and rejection of support is high risk. Sentiment. Bearish pressure. Confidence. 7 out of 10. Reason. Price is trading below the 1 minute anchored VWAP and the 1 minute EMA 200, while the 5 minutes LSMA and EMA 200 act as immediate structural support levels that have Not yet triggered a verified bounce. Concerns. Price is approaching a potential confluence of support at the 5 minutes EMA 2.00. Aggressive selling into this level without a confirmed breakdown could lead to a liquidity sweep and a sharp corrective bounce. The market is currently moving downward, meaning sellers are more active than buyers at this moment. You should wait for a clear stabilization or a secondary test of price levels before considering any action. Forcing a trade in this fast-moving environment is dangerous and likely to result in unnecessary losses. Patience is required to see if the current downward momentum continues or if the price finds a floor at nearby support levels.
Yeah, so not bad advice. I mean, look at he lowered his confidence on the bullish pressure, right? Flipped into the bearish pressure, and then we got that drop, right? So remember what we were talking about here as we're coming down. If we breach this level here, close below is where we get the drop. Now this is where it's critical because remember we're in a trap area of the market time frame wise. A breach of here and a reclaim is going to give that reclaim more strength, if you will, right? And so be really careful shorting. Remember I said anything in here is so dangerous because it's a potential landmine, right? So just be really careful if you're in there shorting. If you're waiting for a long, your better setup would be for this to push up, breach wick here, close above, and then that's going to run really hard, right? A lot of things in here, right, that are in the way. So yeah, I would at least get above Lisma on there. Because that'd put us above our Lisma, our POC, put us above our trend. It would finally give us sort of an established high-low of market open, finally. Plus, if you think about it, right, we had our high-low. We created a higher high, came down, created a slight lower low. If we reclaim that lower low, which is 25.019, and we could sustain that and get the breach wick close above here, right, that's going to be your sign that we're likely to push right back up. So let's just see what we do here. Just looking at something. All right. So when we're on our micro here, right, we can see the push. We're starting to reject. Where this rejects is huge. I would want to see like this kind of trend line. I would look at any kind of push, halfway pull push will tell you the buyers are back in, right? The buy pressure is there. From the indicator standpoint, guys, we have all our fib levels. You got confluence of resistance here, confluence of support here. We could get as low as 969, right? Which, if we look down, would be chasing the EU low, right? Area. So definitely a possibility of that. Be careful on that. Just kind of be safe with being patient on your entries, right? Don't take the longs too soon. Don't take the shorts too soon. Wait for your kind of confirmation within. So let's look at what's going on here. See how the DOM, I'm kind of watching the DOM. You guys see those little DOM jumps we're getting? So we're getting them near what should be resistance, and they shouldn't be jumping like that. So I want to see if I get any kind of absorption. If not, it's looking good for a nice little reclaim. So let's see. It's kind of just stalled out right now, right? But we're getting, remember what I was saying on the micro, it tells me we got that push, we got the doji kind of set up, we're holding that low. This teal line I think is, yeah, it's my 500, 200 EMA, or 5 minute. So that's acting as good support. We are push, halfway liquidity, push, a close on a higher high here, should have enough steam to breach wick that, right? If it cannot create a higher high to even get to this, and we create dojis like this, and we close below those, it's going to have a collapse. So that's how you can kind of identify that trap. How are you guys doing so far? Anybody taking trades? You guys cautious? Anybody in a trade? Need some additional thought? Thumbs up? Good deal.
Very cautious.
Very good. Yeah, it's a tricky one, guys. So if we take the trend logic, right, there's our breach wick of this resistance.
The market is currently
Let him do his
experiencing
thing.
significant structural conflict, with the 5 minutes time frame holding a bullish bias above. The EMA 200, while the 1 minute and 15 seconds time frames
Oh, good
remain
job.
trapped in a bearish sequence. Below the 1 minute anchored VWAP and EMA levels, price is oscillating within a tight range near the 5 minutes EMA 20. 0, failing to establish a clear directional push as recent rallies are repeatedly capped by lower high formations on the 1 minute chart. The lack of expansion beyond recent local resistance levels indicates a high probability environment for continued chop rather than a clean trend. Sentiment, bearish pressure, confidence. 3 out of 10. Reason, the 1 minute EMA trend is bearish. The 1 minute anchored VWAP is currently acting as resistance, and recent price action demonstrates a failure to sustain moves above the most recent local highs. Concerns, the 5 minute structure remains bullish above the EMA 200, creating conflicting signals between the micro and macro timeframes, which increases the likelihood of a whips or range-bound behavior. Summary, the market is currently stuck in a tug of war between different timeframes, making it very risky to trade. Prices are unable to consistently move in one direction, often getting trapped in small ranges. It is best to wait for a clear, sustained breakout instead of guessing where the price will go next. Protecting your capital by sitting out is the smartest move right now.
Not terrible advice. This is big, guys. If we can't even get to this trend line, and we double bottom here with a close above here, that's going to breach with that, which would give us our move back up. Kind of what I've been looking for. If this whole trend collapses, breach wick, that thing's going to dump really hard. Let's see what we got here. Interesting. This was an A+ setup, right? But we never got the close above, so I'd invalidate it. Interesting. This trap played out well. This is, I know, a trap area. This trap south on the 1 minute played out really well. We're still getting little dom jumps. I don't know if you see that in the corner of my eye. I kind of see it pumping. Micro's showing us we got hammers, support. These are happening above the support, which is likely setting up a possible push, right? So that would also set us up for the double bottom above here. Breach wick, close above, gives us OA. So again, I still kind of hold firmly that if you're looking for a safer trade, you want that breach here, close above, and then you're pretty OA. I don't see anything stopping us on the 1 minute, and I don't see anything stopping us on the 5 minute from there. So if you're like waiting for that kind of perfect setup. So for those that want to take a little higher risk setup, right, you got your compression here, you got your doji, close above here. You can take an anticipatory push, knowing you got support there. Just do it defensively like you guys know how to do. So let's look at a couple things. So far though, man, I'm pretty proud of his progression. You know, he's those of you guys that have seen him from the beginning, you know, he's getting smarter. He's calling actual levels, you know, numbers. Not all the time, but he is. I love the summary that he has in there. I'm a big fan of visualizing things, right? That's why I love analogies and such, right? And so when he says things like it's stuck in a tug of war, right, or trapped, or you know, waiting for the safest breakout, protecting capital, smartest move, right? Like those things like that he's starting to pick up to say, I love it. So
The market is currently exhibiting conflicting signals across timeframes, while the 5 minute structure remains bullish above. The 200 EMA, the 1 minute and 15 seconds timeframes are dominated by bearish EMs and a negative 15 seconds LSMA slope. Price is currently trapped in a tight, choppy range between the anchored VWAP and key recent lows, showing no clear expansion or structural commitment. The frequent failures to hold gains above the 1 minute anchored VWAP suggest that current attempts at a reversal lack the necessary follow-through. Sentiment, bearish pressure, confidence. 3 out of 10. Reason, the 1 minute EMA 200 and anchored VWAP are acting as overhead resistance, while the 15 seconds LSMA remains tilted downward, indicating that short-term selling pressure is currently exerting more influence than the 5 minutes structural support. Concerns. The 5
We got
minute
the
structure
breach
is
wick,
still bullish,
right?
and the lack
Breach wick, rear back
of a clean breakdown
close.
below recent liquidity levels creates a high risk of a trap reversal, making the current environment extremely volatile and inconsistent. Summary. The market is currently moving sideways without a clear direction, meaning it is not a good time to enter a trade. The higher timeframe trends are fighting against the lower timeframe movements, which often leads to fake outs. You should wait for the price to clearly break out of this range with conviction before looking for any opportunities. Protecting your capital is more important than trying to guess where the market goes next during this uncertainty.
Not bad advice. All right, guys. So we got the buy here. This is all normal, right? We get the buy. We get the. Remember we talked about this where we breach up. We get the breach wick. The safer play is to get a breach wick, pull back, push. Right? Get that close. So we got it right. Breach wick, pull back. You guys all know. I want to see some strength in this push if I want to believe it's not a trap, which would be my hammers, my push. I want it to hold some of this support here, preferably a halfway liquidity, which is kind of losing. So I need to see this jump here pretty soon, right? Or it's going to likely do a breach wick close and then it's gonna fail, right? So we look at the POCs at 30 right here. So I want to see that also hold as support, Igor. And that would give me some good sense of that as well. So we did get a trap here that played out. It's actually trying to call another trap on the indicator, which it's only a C, nothing crazy. We're back internal on the 522, so this box, it graded out temporarily, but it didn't close below, so it's not fully invalidated, right? So that's why it's back. We're still kind of internal in that box, which is pretty wide. So in a nutshell, you can kind of see what he said, right? Which is that, he's low confident on the bearish pressure that's there, but he sees more bearish pressure than bullish, which he's not wrong, right? We're more bearish. And he's saying, just be careful because you need confirmation. So confirmation of higher things or time frames would be like this trend line. We need a breach, close below. To go long, right, we want that breach, close above, right? So see how that kind of lines up. So let's just wait and see where she wants to go here. So we're rearing back, see this? Now we've created a doji, close above here, should come up and breach wick those, close above those is going to be our full pull. Being this through a buy, the rear back on the Lisma is normal, I'm okay with it, but being that through a buy, man, I'd be really surprised if we just full dump, right? But it is market open, so anything can happen. Again, this is why it's important when you're taking trades. Scalpers might be doing a lot of scalping in between, but your safer play is going to be breach wick here, and then it's like pretty OA down. It's going to fall far. Any shorts above this is really dangerous. Any longs until we breach this are really dangerous. And so I don't seem to see it. Let me look and see. Is it precision entry deluxe in the algos? No, it's in the when you go here in your algos, you click on it. I was just looking at that's so funny. Anyways, got a little distracted. Right here, see precision entry. So just click on that one under trading algos. This right here, I didn't even know Alex was adding this yet. That's so funny. Trading algo AI add-on coming soon. I'll talk about that in a minute. I didn't know he was going to post that up.
The market
already
is currently experiencing significant compression between the 5 minutes and 1 minute EMA2. 0-0 levels, resulting in a lack of clear directional expansion.
0-0 levels.
Price is oscillating around the anchored VWAP and moving within the broader range established by recent highs and lows, indicating a consolidation phase rather than a clear structural trend. Because the price is failing to establish a consistent push in either direction and is trapping liquidity within a narrow band, the current environment is unsuitable for a high probability trade.
Like 95,
Sentiment, bearish pressure,
really like
confidence,
90, somewhere near.
3 out of
That's where you
10.
wanna breach,
Reason,
90, 95.
the 5 minutes and 1 minute LSMA and EMA trends are predominantly bearish, and price is struggling to reclaim Key levels like the 1-minute anchored VWAP, suggesting a lack of buying intent. Concerns. The price action is contained within a messy range with frequent reversals at both ends, and the 1-minute LSMA slope is nearly flat, indicating a lack of momentum and high probability of whipsaw. Summary. The market is currently stuck in a sideways range where neither buyers nor sellers are in control. It is best to remain patient and wait for price to decisively break out of this area. With strong, sustained movement, entering now would be high risk due to the lack of a clear trend. Please stay on the sidelines until a meaningful structural shift occurs.
Please stay on the sidelines. So again, you know, a lot of what he's looking at, I love the shift. If you guys notice, he shifted bearish a little bit ago, and I was actually kind of looking at that like, dang, we're kind of double bottom. Usually this type of double bottom, even though albeit micro, right, it causes that breach wick, then it's just a rear back with another propulsion push, right? And so when he flipped to bearish, even though it was low confidence, I was like, okay, you know, I mean, because it looks to me like it might be more trap, right? Now, mind you, he's still learning how to figure out how to do trend lines and such, and so he doesn't see this support here, so you got to be really careful with that, right? And so, but it was just really cool to see him kind of identify that bearishness early, right? So again, you know, you still got to create the rules, like I teach in the development program that I do, and in the mentor group. My rules here is we use Heikinashi. I want to see that breach wick close below to go short. Anything short of that, guys, it could be an absolute landmine, and you could get wrecked if you're not careful. So, and you can see, right, we're landmining. Again, you guys know how I play this. If I were to get this low here, why didn't we go there? Why are we jumping, right? Tells me more bear trap than bull trap, right? And so that's why we're jumping within that. You guys can see we did get the breach wick. From a structural standpoint, like I teach in the development side, we get the push, we typically get a pull. A lot of times it'll get that lower low, then it comes up. This has to create a higher high. If it does, we're good, right? We're going. If this doesn't create a higher high and we get any kind of deep resistance on the micro, I'm okay with a halfway pullback because that's a normal push halfway pull. That's just what the market does. Anything short of that, if this were to push, come here, breach this, and drop, that it should not do that if we're going to remain bullish, right? It is a very tricky zone, guys. Be really, really careful trading accounts that are very important to you because we are just chopping, right? We are so far up, down, up, lower low, tried to come up, couldn't do it, created another lower low, right? And now it's trying to come back up again. Doesn't really scream super bullish, right? Which is why I'm not upset that he is still leaning towards the bearish, right? But what I know is that this support line is here, and if this support line holds with certain conditions within the micro, then that is going to give us that pop north, right? But if you're looking for that sell, right, you want that breach wick, rear back, right? So a lot of times what that'll do is it'll breach here, rear back to the 200 or the prior lows, and then you'll get full expansion of the drop, right? Similar to the long, right? We have the breach, we get the close above, and then we'll get full expansion. So you just got to be patient. So we've done a lot of upgrades as far as not really upgrades, but we're continuing to inject logic into his trading. And so that's why you see him saying things a little bit different. You know, we've given him the ability to summarize all of what he said in a way that a beginner would understand, is kind of what he's told, if you will. You know, I like having that there because even if you're not beginner, right, it's just kind of nice to, you know, just give me the cliff notes, man. You know,
The market is currently experiencing significant structural friction, with price trapped between the 5-minute EMA 200 at 25,021 and the 1-minute anchored VWAP at 25,041. While the 5-minute and 1-minute trends remain bearish based on the LSMA, the recent price progression shows a lack of clean directional follow-through, characterized by wide swings and a lack of sustained expansion below recent lows.
testing that low on the
Until
trend line,
price
guys. This
decisively
is huge.
clears the recent structural range or finds a clear, confirmed footing above the 1-minute anchored VWAP, the environment is defined by indecision and conflicting signals, sentiment, bearish pressure, confidence. 2 out of 10. Reason. The structural alignment remains bearish across the 5-minute and 1-minute timeframes, with price testing and failing to reclaim the anchored VWAP and the 15-second LSMA slope indicating ongoing downward pressure. Concerns. Price action is currently consolidating within a volatile range with no clear breakout, the recent failure to establish a lower low suggests a potential lack of selling conviction, making the current bearish trend highly susceptible to a reversal.
So we now breached.
Summary. The market is currently moving sideways without a clear direction, meaning it is not a safe time to enter a trade. Prices are bouncing between key levels, which often leads to losses for traders trying to predict the next move. It is best to wait for the price to clearly break out of this range with strength before taking any action. Patience is your most important tool in this market condition.
His switch to bearish, guys, played out pretty good. I even had my doubts a little bit. We now are breach wick in the trend line. If it stays below that, which is like 24,996 on the micro, right, then we're going to get the drop. But as you guys all know, we typically breach wick, rear back. That's why I love Heikinashi, because it tells me that it's going to do that, and we're seeing the breach with the rear back. If we get the breach with the rear back that goes too strong, right, which would be a close above a doji here, that's going to give us our structure, which you guys have seen me say, where we push, we rear back, lower low. We did not create the higher high, so we collapsed. Created the deeper lower low. If it reclaims these lows, which would be 25.005, then that would give us another attempt at this high, right? Lisma is starting to angle in a way that I like it. I'm not a fan of these, even though it's not bad. But when we start to get a deep angle like this, right, that's when you usually get the breach and then the full breakout, right? And so that's what I'm kind of watching to see. So now we have a breach wick here. We did rear back on the micro. If we get a close below there, we should get a drop. We can look at the concerns. We do have prior lows at 76, and we have prior lows at 53. So just kind of be careful on that. So we do have a 1 minute on there showing the sell. I'm going to tell you guys right now, some of the things that I'm seeing are a little tricky, right? Because we've got some traps north, traps south populating, right? So they're definitely setting up a trap one direction or the other, right? And so for me, you guys know, I love when I do these trend lines, I like to look for the trap as well as the continuation. So if we breach this and we actually get a close below here, right, that should drop pretty harsh. Anything short of that, if we breach it, or even right now, right, if we breach this like we did and then we reclaim that, it shouldn't do that, right? And so that's going to be a pretty violent move in the opposite direction. So but let's just take a look. What's up? Oh, Andrew, I think you're off.
Well, my bad.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm just steady watching. This thing looks like my indicators are just telling me that it's going to be dropping. Like
Yeah,
that's it.
it's lining up. So it's definitely lining up, right, for a pull. You can see the traps were all in there, right, calling it. But we just want to see, as this begins to pull, right, these levels matter. So watch the micro. If it's bouncing on the 77, right, on the micro, then it's a pull retest. That retest has got to hold for a deep pull. We don't need to retest it. It could, if we get a deep close from there, right, that's going to draw you to the 953. Deep close below there, man, like we got a pretty big fall. But keep in mind, guys, it's 10-19. We have had a lot of indecision. We had a deep push followed by a deep pull. That's just market open stuff, right? And so for us to do a decent bounce here in a trap way wouldn't surprise me, right? And so this is where they usually trap the sellers in there, right? And so remember, I always tell you guys, like here,
The market
right?
structure exhibits clear bearish alignment as price remains below the anchored VWAP in the EMA.
Right
200 on the 1 minute time frame. Recent price progression shows consistent failure to hold support levels, culminating in a series of lower lows that signal sustained selling pressure, given the alignment of the moving averages and the inability of buyers to reclaim the VWAP. The current environment favors continuation of the downtrend. Sentiment, bearish pressure, confidence.
Now be
8
careful though
out
with
of
that,
10.
guys, because
Reason.
if we reclaim this
Price is
low,
trading below the 1 minute anchored VWAP
right,
and
we reclaim this ORB,
1 minute EMA
there's a
200
chance
with
that
persistent
it's
lower
gonna
lows
burst through
confirming
this
bearish
Lisma.
structural intent. The
So be
1 minute
careful.
LSMA and 15 seconds EMA trends are both pointing downward, indicating strong momentum to the downside. Concerns. The 5 minutes LS. MA slope is positive despite the bearish trend, suggesting potential for sharp counter-trend volatility if price finds support at these lower levels. Overtrading near these extreme lows without a fresh structural breakdown increases risk. Summary. The market is currently trending downward, meaning sellers are in control and prices are moving lower. I do not see a valid entry for buying because the trend is firmly bearish and price is failing to reclaim key levels. Always wait for price to show a clear structural shift before considering any change in direction. Focus on protecting your capital and avoiding the urge to trade against this strong downward momentum.
I love when he starts saying stuff like that. Like, I don't quite see a buy entry, right? Because it's not wrong, right? If you're keep in mind, think of it like this, right? Now, when the market gets crazy, things can just go crazy up, crazy down. But in normal market oscillatory moves, we want to go up. If we're going to be bullish, we want to go up, down, up, down. Same thing with bearish, right? Down, up, up. So in a sense, what he's saying is he don't see a clear buy entry yet, which is true, because a buy entry, you'd want to be a breach wick here, and then that would explode. And so you'd want to be cautious on that, right? But what he's saying is as this is pulling, you don't want to get caught. It's kind of like what I've done in class, right? Where I do this exercise and I say, okay, if we're dropping like this, right? Where do you want to short? I don't want to short it here. I want to short it here, right? With the breakdown. And so you're going to see him reference that quite a bit where it's like, hey, we're bearish, looks good because of whatever reason, but not sure how far this expansion is going to go. You might want to wait sometimes for like a micro pullback, then a rejection. So if you're bearish due to all of this, right, in that sense, you would say, okay, well, if I'm already short, fine, whatever, trail it out. But if you're not already short, right, you want to, or you're dommed out, you want to wait for it to pull up and reject on here again, right? Now, you guys have seen, those that are in the development class, and we talked about it a little last night, there's a lot of times what the market likes to do is breach these things, which is a trend line that is on, valid for our opening setup. It breaches them, then reclaims it, then goes absolutely violent. That is what we call a stop hunt, right? Or a bear trap, right? Because if you don't know and you think like a retail, you're going to say, okay, I got a breach wick, close below, I'm in, right? And then you jump in. It's not a bad entry. There's nothing wrong with that. There is some concerns here. That's why I like this indicator, which is flow trading. Because even though my trend line says, hey, I'm bearish, my flow trading says, hey, we broke 15-minute Lisma, we hit Asia low, and we're holding Asia low. A close back above that is probably more likely to push up to this area than it is to dump. If it pushes up to that area, right, then what ends up happening is now you've invalidated that that drop, right? You've invalidated it. And so that's why, guys, like what I teach, and everybody in here knows, I like to refer to it as like a 360 trader. That's kind of what stuck to me, and I just keep saying it. But you cannot just be, I hate people that go in there and go, I just trade trend lines, I just trade ORB, I just trade whatever, POC. Because you got to see the whole picture, guys. Like, if you're a trend line trader here, I mean, like, guys, anybody in this thing here, put a thumbs up if either you did take a short or, you would have taken a short. Like, I'm just curious, because I would have.
The market is currently navigating a compressed range below the 1-minute anchored VWAP in the 1-minute, 5 minutes LSMA levels, reflecting lingering bearish pressure. While recent price action shows attempts to reclaim levels toward the 25,000 handle, the inability to consistently break above the 1-minute anchored VWAP at 25,037 suggests structural weakness and a lack of sustained bullish intent. Sentiment. Bearish pressure. Confidence. 3 out of 10. Reason. Price is trading below the 1-minute and 5 minutes LSMA and the 1-minute anchored VWAP, confirming a bearish trend alignment across timeframes.
To be a full
The
trap, we
most
got to reclaim
recent
these
price
lows,
progression
and then
shows
we'll
a
push up.
failure to maintain momentum above the
did fail that.
25,000 level, validating resistance at higher price. Points. Concerns. The market is in an inside range condition with conflicting price behavior, specifically the presence of a green Heiken Ashi candle despite overall bearish structural alignment. This indicates potential chop and a high risk of a liquidity trap rather than a clean continuation. Summary. The market is currently trending downward and is struggling to push past major resistance levels. Because the price is stuck in a choppy range, it is not a safe time to trade. You should wait for the price to clearly break and hold a specific direction before considering any move. Patience is the best strategy here to protect your capital.
Again, not terrible advice, right? So, kind of what I was saying again, the whole back on the 360 part, right? So this would be your trend line structure break south. This would be a push retest. We ended up pushing higher. The concerns would be Asia low. If we hold above Asia low with this higher high, it should push there. We didn't push there, right? We ended up getting above. We got the close. It didn't push. Got the breakdown. We ended up pulling again. Our indicators are still showing sell, which is playing out. This guy still seems to be thinking sell, which is playing out, right? And so the full trap, to see if this was going to be a full trap, we would have needed to have it reclaim the trend line and reclaim these prior lows. That would have pushed up and then gave us a really big push. It didn't happen, right? We broke down, ended up getting a close below this low, and that's why we're getting this sweep. So now we want to look at our next level, which would be around 53. I think that's what we talked about. Yeah, back here, somewhere around 53, right? See these prior here, that's your EU low. Liquidity is trying to chase. I love that the trap indicator is calling shorts here, and it ended up playing out well. Our A plus setup looks like it's invalidated now on that. So we never broke above it, we ended up breaking below it. So interesting one on that one. Let's look and see, make sure we're not missing anything. We have some pretty good structure now that we have an up, down, up, down, right? So that's your 1 minute you can kind of follow. If you're looking to take any kind of longs, you don't really want to do it until we get above here. Anything short of that is going to be kind of dangerous within that. Let me look at something. Yeah, I had a couple accounts, I'm just kind of playing with ladders on is all, so I'm just trying to check their ranges here. Let's see. Yeah. All right, guys. So let's watch this. I want to see what the micro is doing. Right. We end up falling past the Asia low. We didn't quite make it to EU low. Any kind of push above here would reclaim Asia low, which will likely give it a little bit of steam to try to reclaim the 15-minute Lisma. Any kind of reclaim of this Lisma with the breach wick close above would push us up to here. Anything short of that, right, we're going to keep collapsing and go down. But this is going to be a really big 5-minute candle for me, because where we are here, if we hold a higher low and get some kind of absorption back north, right, now we're in a macro pull, possible reversal back up to test the POC. So let's just kind of be patient here and wait. Kind of see, it's a little early, but I'm curious if this, let me see how this lines up. Not as good as I thought it would, but not bad. See this right here? I want to see if to get any kind of confirmation that this might be a parallel channel here, I need to see some pretty good DOM jumps or bounces here pretty soon. So let's look and see. There it is. There's the jump. All right, let's see if it holds, right? It jumped.
The
I
market
want to see if it holds.
structure is currently exhibiting clear bearish alignment across all primary time
So
frames
again, guys,
as price
you can't see
remains
trend lines and all that stuff,
below
right?
the
So
1 minute
you gotta
anchored
still draw your
VWAP and the
lines
1 minute
things.
EMA 200.
Not yet.
Price is currently trapped in a sequence of lower highs and has repeatedly failed to sustain moves above local resistance, indicating strong selling pressure. The downward slope on the 1 minute and
Trying to
15
double
seconds
bottom.
LSMA confirms that bearish momentum is in control, making any long setup structurally invalid until a reclaim of the 1 minute anchored VWAP is observed. Sentiment. Bearish pressure. Confidence. 8 out of 10. Reason. Price is trading below key structural benchmarks including the 1-minute anchored VWAP and the 1 MEMA 200, with consistent lower highs confirming downward progression. Concerns. The 5 MLSMA slope is slightly positive despite the bearish trend, suggesting potential for local volatility or whipsaw move near current support levels. The market is currently moving in a downward direction, meaning sellers are more active than buyers. You should avoid attempting to buy until the price can prove it has the strength to climb back above the key average levels. 4. Now, the safest approach is to wait for the market to establish a clearer, more stable trend. Patience is essential because entering during this downward push could lead to catching a falling knife.
He said catching a falling knife. What?
Dude, that's awesome.
He did not just say that, man. Get out of here. Hey, Michael, what's up, man? Yeah.
Well, living the dream, buddy. Living the dream. We were gone all week last week. I'm just trying to get back in the swing.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, Neo's he's been doing a little upgrades to himself, and so we've widened the range on what he can say in the summary, not only for beginners, but we're just letting him kind of find his own on what he wants to say. So he said some crazy stuff so far. Earlier in the mentor group, he's like, this is a really bad range to trade. This is, we're chopping like crazy. There's no clear direction. Basically, if you take a trade right now, you have a high probability you're just going to be wrong and take a loss. And I'm like,
that's awesome. Was he right?
Dude, this dude just tell, yeah. I mean, it chopped the whole freaking time. He was on point. And but what I love, man, so far is remember, when he started way up here, he was a lot of bullish, right, up in this areas here. Somewhere around here, right, he flipped bearish, and he's stayed bearish the whole time, right, and it's stayed dropping. Now, the part I try to throw disclaimer-wise to give him a little defense, even though every time I do it, he seems to not need it, is he can't see certain trend lines because he's still new, right? He's kind of, as we joke, right, he's just a baby. But so far, he hasn't been really wrong. Like, it's crazy. But we know that this is looking like it could be a possible channel. Any kind of push here, right, validates the channel. We did get a push, which then follows a rear back. Now we need to close above, which would give us enough steam to breach these areas. I love the way this structure is setting up as a top and bottom trader, because if I can hold above this EU low and I can breach back up into these ranges, anything up here, right, is like literal OA for our 1 minute, and it's not bad here for our 15 second, because there's really not a lot holding it other than Asia high all the way to there, right? And so, and then the POC's at 30 as well, so we'd be above the POC. Like, this is your safest play if you're waiting for a top and bottom. And that's kind of what he's talking about, right, is that if you're doing a directional entry, you got to wait till you get confirmation above those type of resistances, right? Otherwise, you're just a little early to the game. So, let me check something here.
I need to figure out how to set up Lisma on my thing here.
Yeah, the whipsaw landing, he said. I love that too. Yeah, guys. Everybody on TikTok, we do the old teach you to fish, right? Not give the fish. So, and we're trying to program Neo to do that as well. My goal is not to have Neo be a buy sell signal, right? Not for a while, like probably eventually, right? But not for a while. And I want him to take a role more of a coach, right? Like, do I go up? Do I go down? What's my guidance? Where are we going? Like, give me some coaching tips, right? Because I want him to also make you feel like you're learning, right? That
the market
he's teaching
exhibits a clear bearish structure across all time frames, with the price trading consistently below both the 5-minute and 1-minute EMA 200 levels and the anchored VWAP.
If we reclaim that
Recent
with some
price
strength,
progression
right, it's gonna
shows
jump
a
because
persistent
it did
failure
here,
to
so
sustain
be careful.
rallies, resulting in a series of
If we
lower
continue
highs and
to
immediate
reject
rejections
there,
at resistance,
right, then we're
confirming
gonna
that
jump or
sellers
drop. So
maintain control over the
like
current
78 or
structure.
so is what we wanna
Sentiment,
watch.
bearish pressure,
Yeah,
confidence,
which is why it's rejecting
8
here.
out of 10. Reason: the price is currently trapped below the major
we're in
moving
compression.
averages and the anchored VWAP, while the 1-minute and 15-second LSMA slopes remain downward sloping, confirming a bearish trend alignment. Concerns. The price is currently oscillating near recent lows without a definitive breakdown, suggesting potential consolidation or liquidity sweep before a stronger directional move occurs. Summary. The market is currently moving downward, and it is safer to look for selling opportunities rather than buying. Because the price is stuck below key average levels, the trend favors sellers. Wait for a clear, strong move downward before taking any action. Avoid trying to catch a bottom while the price is showing this much weakness.
Man, he's saying, Cody, are you saying that he's saying so much new stuff today? Have you noticed that? I know even since the beginning. Many of you guys.
Yeah, that's the first time I heard it say avoid catching the bottom.
Yeah. Man,
It's like he
guys.
knows how I trade.
He's growing up. He went from a 2-year-old about 3 days ago. Now he's a 5 to 7-year-old.
Yeah, he's like aging in dog years, dude.
That's crazy, man. Because I know some of you guys are probably in here going, oh, yeah, this is the bottom. You know what? Look, if I go here, like, I'm going to probably just go long. And then he's over here, like, avoid catching the bottom. And you're like, all right, I'm going to wait.
All right. And what's his name, Nick?
Neo.
Neo the dog.
You want to see? Here's the... This is when I go to the bathroom or I take a step away, I just do this so that way y'all know he's watching your ass.
He looks nice and harmless, but he'll whip your ass. You know,
Oh yeah.
He's got that.
Oh yeah. We've thrown a little sass in him, so he's gonna tell you what's up, man. If you do some stupid things.
That's what I'm talking about. That's funny, dude.
I wouldn't say dog years. I would say like fly years. Like this guy's. I've been doing this for a year, and every summary is schooling me. I'm like, okay. I'm like thinking, like you said, Nick. I'm like, I'm about to jump in this long, catch the bottom. Then that comes across, catching a falling knife, stuff like that. It's like, oh shit. And then it just really back in.
Yep. Well, and keep in mind, guys, that is my goal with Neo. Is that I want him to just make y'all think, man. So you're not just jumping into, because as a retail trader, we do that a lot, right? If we're doing directional trades. Now, again, guys, there's a million ways to trade. There's ladder trading. There's, defensive plays where you can be a little more risky, whatever, right? But if you're doing singular entries, that's what he's focused on. Singular entries, right? Decent volume, get in, make some money, right? And if I can get him to give you some guidance that puts hesitation, right? Even if you don't make money on a play, like let's say you're like me, right, where you're a top and bottom trader, you like more longs than you do shorts. At least if you're sitting here waiting for this long to set up, you can read what he's saying, going, okay, I'm not gonna jump in a long because it's showing a lot of weakness right now. I'm gonna wait, right? And listen to, so for those of you that are kind of newer to some of the updates we've done or allowed him to do, we've broken it down, if you guys have noticed, to a few things. One, I did notice recently that he's not referencing the 1 minute and 5 minute Lisma as much. He looks at it, he knew about it, but he doesn't really ever talk about it, right? And so I was asking Alex last night, I'm like, I don't think he ever talks about this. And so he had to look at the code, and there's things in our secret sauce code, right, that we allow him to say in a coaching manner, and there's some things that I'm not going to allow him to say because it's secret sauce, right? And so that's what's going to make him unique as he grows. And so somehow the 1 minute and the 5 minute kind of got caught in that you're not allowed to talk about it, right? Like the old Fight Club. And so we were able to pivot that. So you're going to see him reference now more things like this, like both the 1 minute and 5 minute, Lisma or whatever, right? And there, if it's relevant to what he's saying, right? The other thing we did is it was brought to my attention that a lot of people, even new people or intermediate people, sometimes don't really know exactly how to interpret this, because we were just saying bearish or bullish. See this channel, guys? I'm talking about, be really careful, because the way I trade top and bottom, it's not confirmed. It could just be a pullback, but it sets up a what I refer to as a bear trap, right? That a lot of times will push up, wick, and then jump, right? Pretty harsh. So be really careful taking these shorts until you get a pullback and continuation, because this could be a
The
possible
market
trap.
is
We'll see.
currently experiencing significant bearish pressure as price remains trapped below the 1-minute and 5 minutes EMA 200 levels, as well as the 1-minute anchored VWAP. While the most recent price movement shows a minor attempt to break above short-term highs, the broader structure remains characterized by a downward sloping 1-minute LSMA and a lack of sustained expansion, indicating that the current green price progression is likely a corrective pullback rather than a structural trend reversal. Sentiment. Bearish pressure. Confidence. 3 out of 10. Reason. Price is trading beneath the key 5 minutes EMA 200 level at 25,019.88 and the 1-minute anchored VWAP at 25,030.42, which act as primary structural resistance. The 1-minute LSMA slope remains negative, indicating that the path of least resistance is downward. Concerns. The market is currently exhibiting choppy behavior without a clear, confirmed breakout. Despite the minor push in price, the lack of follow-through and the proximity to strong overhead resistance makes any long entry premature and high risk. Summary. The market is currently moving in a downward direction, meaning sellers have more control than buyers. Because the price is stuck below important resistance levels, it is not a good time to buy. I advise waiting for a clearer, more stable trend to emerge before considering any trades. Stick to the sidelines until the market shows a definitive sign of strength.
Stick to the sidelines, buddy. And so what I was saying kind of on that before he really interrupted me. No, I'm just kidding. I love when he interrupts me because it gives me time to not talk for a minute. What we wanted to do is kind of like give you a little cliff notes, right? A little summary. And so some people mention they're like, man, I find myself just going straight to the summary, and I'm cool with that. Even I do that sometimes because I'm like, I'm looking for a trade, buddy. Give me the old meat and potatoes, right? I don't need to know the rest of this stuff. And so when we allow him to create this summary, we gave him a little bit of leeway to kind of act like, like you guys have heard people say like, hey, I told an AI to act like a trader, and like I think Johnny mentioned that one time, right? He was like, act like a trader, and if you lose, right, you lose everything, and well, and so we kind of gave him a little leeway to say, hey, look, when you're giving out this stuff, like, this is you, like, this is your baby, you're the coach, right? If you're coaching these people, like, what would you want to summarize that into to make sense, right? And that's kind of what we did with him, and so that's why we're seeing a lot of different verbiage that he's using. And like I said, he's again, knowing behind the curtains, man. Some of the stuff he's saying, because remember, these generated responses, they're not programmed responses. It's not like I said, if this happens, I want you to say this, right? He's true AI. He's flagging behind the scenes things that work, things that don't work, and he's making decisions, and he's got a range of what he can say with just directive logic, right? But the things he says, I laugh because it's not like I told him to say that, right? And so when he's like, oh, it's like, if you do this, it's like catching a falling knife. I'm like, I'm live on TikTok, man. Can't be saying that, Neo. let's ixnay that one. Like, next thing you know, you're like, this guy's reported Neo threatened me. Like, no. And so I don't know, man. He the craziest thing he said earlier in the pre-market, like I said, is when he was just like, this is a poor time to trade, and if you take a trade in either direction, you're pretty likely to just take a loss. Like you're gonna lose. And I'm like, and I love, although it blew my mind because of the way he said it. I haven't heard him say it like that yet, so I was like, damn. But if I'm trading, right, and I'm sitting here deciding, man, I'm bored. I want to go up, want to go down, looks up, looks down, whatever. And then all of a sudden he pops up and goes, you take a trade either way, you're probably going to lose. I'm going to be like, let me look again. All right. I think it's going up, but you know what? He's right. I probably should wait till it gets above here. Then I'm going to take that trade. And that's the entire point of Neo for a bit, guys, is I want him to be a coach. I want him to make decisions in a way that is guiding people to make those things, right? Now, again, remember what we were talking about earlier. Let's just talk about the logic. I'm going to mute this.
The market
I
is
love leaving
currently
it like this,
experiencing
especially for like
conflicting
all the
structural
socials and
signals,
stuff,
with the
but
price
let's see
trading
what he
beneath the
thinks.
key 5 minutes and 1 M anchored
His
VWAP
confidence
and
is low
EMA
on that
200
too,
levels,
guys.
while showing some localized recovery. The recent price action
We got
reflects a
breach
struggle
out of
to
here for
reclaim
the falling channel.
significant resistance, as the 15 seconds
Should
EMA
breach
remains
this, which
bearish
would
and the
give
1 minute
close, which would
LSMA
give the
slope
push,
is
so watch
negative.
it.
Because price is trapped within a narrow range below major overhead structural hurdles without clear expansion, the current environment is too congested for a high probability entry. Sentiment. Bearish pressure. Confidence. 3 out of 10. Reason. Price is failing to sustain momentum above the 1 minute and 5 minutes VWAP, EMA 200 levels. Confirming a bearish structural bias on higher timeframes. The inability to establish a firm higher high indicates that current gains are merely pull backs within a broader downward trend. Concerns. The market is in a consolidated range with conflicting short-term signals and lack of clear directional expansion. Trading within these boundaries risks getting caught in liquidity traps as price tests resistance levels without sufficient volume to break through. Summary. The market is currently moving sideways and lacks a clear direction, making it dangerous to trade. Price is stuck below important structural averages, which acts like a ceiling preventing upward movement. You should wait for the price to clearly break out of this range with conviction before looking for an entry. For now, it is best to remain patient and preserve your capital.
Yeah, which again, remember guys, he's looking for guidance of more singular entry type stuff, right? He doesn't identify things like channels and trend lines yet, right? That's a little more advanced of things, right? So we're working through that, but it's going to take a little time. This is what I was telling you about. When I see this type of bottom, man, I get really concerned that drop is a trap and we're going to fail, right? And so you can see that kind of playing out pretty well. Now, if you've been waiting this whole time to go long, like Neo's been telling you, this is kind of your go, right? Which would be a sweep up here, which would sweep these. Then you're going to get a rear back. Then the close above would be your OA, right? If you're waiting for that. So, but which is kind of what he's telling you, right? There's a lot of price up there. He's not wrong, when you don't understand the trends of it, because we are still bearish in the sentiment. This is still a macro bearish alignment, which could just be a macro push back in, right? So if you take even kind of any kind of trend lines, not there, right? Kind of through here, right? We're pushing back up on that, just back into the POC. We're pushing back up to retest our 5-minute 200 EMA. It's just a bounce, right? Until it's not, which it needs to get a confirmed continuation. We need expansion through these high time frame alignments, which in my opinion should get it, just because of the fact we're getting this falling structure. Thinking like a market maker, the way that we trap traders, because a lot of people likely took shorts here. And so for them to push this here would make sense. Now, if they want the market to go down, right, and this is like Neo's kind of thinking, a push up to the macros for a larger pull, then they would probably try to set up a possible bull trap of something like this, like a pattern or structure with a close and then sweep it, right? And so that's why, kind of how to interpret his guidance, I guess, if you will, would be that. But let's look at a couple things here, guys. Yep, looking good, good deal. All right. So let's watch and see. Guys, we're already at 10:49. Holy shit. Man, time flies. I didn't even see that. Didn't see that.
Having fun.
Guys, I am going to mute Neo for a moment. I know that you guys are kind of like, no. But I'm going to talk. So you can watch it if you can still read it. If not, I'll give you the quick summary. He said, the market's currently stuck in a tug of war, which I love. He's starting to use that term too, between buyers and sellers, making it too risky for a new trade. Important resistance levels are sitting right above the current price, acting like a ceiling that prevents further upward movement. It's best to remain patient and wait for the price to clearly break and hold above these levels before considering any action, which is what I just said. for now, the safest approach is to stay on the sidelines until it becomes more certain, right? And so he's telling you, and this is what I love, right? Remember, even though he's saying bearish, we added the word pressure because I don't like people thinking, oh, he said it's bearish, but then it went up, right? He's not wrong. We have bearish pressure still, right, within the market because we're still in those lower areas. But if you read the summary and the concerns, he's saying, hey, before you're making decisions, make sure you are confirmed, right, within that move, right, which is what I'm telling you the same. We have a channel breakout wick, close above, should breach wicket, which is what I said down here, and it did here. A close above there would be our propulsion, right, and that's basically what he's telling you as well. So, guys, we have to get to our development session. I do feel terrible because I feel like every day we have so much excitement going on in the mornings that we end up a little later into the development session. I know we've been waiting for this setup for some time, so let's see if we get the full play out right before we drop off here, right? Would be good. So, but let's take a look and see. We did get a push here. Remember we talked about 5-minute Lisma. Breach wick, rear back is normal, right? If you guys want to join, if you're on TikTok or if you're in this open session that is free, I'm going to just cover my screen here for just a moment, guys. Anybody who's on TikTok, you all are welcome to come into the room because if you click on, if you go to our website, nextstepalgo.com, register for free. My disclaimer, because apparently it came up a few times, so I want to make sure everybody knows. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't pay anything, right? We're not out here selling your emails. Like, I have no interest of selling anybody's email. I don't know why. I never even thought of that. And I was telling a friend, I'm like, hey, man, check it out. Sign up. And he's like, you're not going to sell my email, right? And I'm like, dude, what? Like, I didn't know. I didn't even think, no, we're not selling emails. So you just go in, you register. It's completely free. When you get into the website, nextstepalgo.com, the session that we are in our Google Meet, where the community's in there, you guys can come in. It's free for during this session. So you go to open session, click on that, and you can see when you click on it, it's going to just take you right to a Google Meet. We do it every single morning, Monday through Friday, 9:15 to 11 a.m. At 11 a.m., we jump into the development session. If you are part of the development program, then you can join that. If you are not, then you cannot. If you are part of the VIP, you can join that. If you're part of the mentor program, you can join that, etc. So if you want to trade with us, if you want to trade alongside Neo, you guys just sign up to that development program, and it's the same exact logic. You just click on the link, you're going to get an open button, click it, and you're there. In our website, when you refresh the page, anything is green is in session. Anything red is not, right? When Neo is green, he is in session. Currently, he's not green because he's not really told that he's allowed to trade right now. He's supposed to only turn on at 1 p.m. Because he's beta and I want to give him exposure to market open is why I have allowed him to trade right now. So if he's green, though, you guys are welcome to click on it. Even if he's not green, if I have him on like right now, you guys can click on it and watch him, right? And that's 100% free. We're not charging anybody for that while we're in beta. All you gotta do is register. You guys have seen, his guidance, I think today, I'd love to get maybe y'all's feedback, was spot on, right? He had talked about these areas being very bearish for quite some time. We dropped a bit. As it came down here, you notice he started saying in the summary, be really careful because we're coming into some range. We have some deep pullbacks that likely give bounces, right? In the latest one, he said, even though he remained bearish pressure, low confidence, his concern was that we are pressuring pretty high, and before I take any action, he's not going to say go long, right? Any action, I need to see a clear close above those levels. And so he's been pretty on point, right? The only thing he did not see would be that early read of the falling channel, which was a super early read. You guys saw me call that like here, right? And then now we're playing out. So if you want to know how to kind of see those things early, call those things early, identify stuff to align with what Neo's saying, then you probably want to at least be in that development program. Anybody who's looking for mentors, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I have 6 people over today and tomorrow that I got to meet with. This is the mentor program. I'm not taking more than 50 at all. Like, this is the program. 50 is the most I'm going to take. I'm locking it down. And we are at like 34. I don't know. You guys in the program, you can keep me honest on that. Let me look at our chat here. We are at... technically I have 32 actually on that, and so because of the 2 that we just added, and then I have, so you figure I have the interviews today and tomorrow, not really interviews, just calls. It's going to get us really close to 40. So if you're looking for any deep mentoring, guys, even if you have some concerns, whatever that is, right? Like, just get on. Let's just talk, right? Let's see if the program's for you. If it is, awesome. If it isn't, totally fine. Doesn't cost you anything. I'm a big fan on this site, in this community, and in this company. We are going to continue to develop things that allow you to get a full, transparent look inside the community without paying anything. You don't have to link a card until you're ready to buy stuff, right? You can come in, literally register on the account, click the open session. You can come in and watch Neo. Just click on it, and there he is. Click Enable Neo, and you're going to get the updates, right? So, and then, again, even for him right now, while he's in beta, it's free. So, you guys check it out. I'll give you guys a little bit of a tidbit, because apparently we've been talking about it, but he already added. We have a new thing we're integrating with Neo called Trading Algo AI Add-on. Alex has tried and tested the ability to have Paul create logic within our indicators that creates rules within our indicators, which will allow you to fire an alert directly to Neo. And so when you decide your condition you want to send to him, you can send it to him. He's going to, on this dashboard we're going to create, interpret it. So let's say you're in your dashboard, and just an example, your logic of the alert is if the candles are above Lisma and above the 200 with a clean close, fire an alert to Neo to tell me if it's a good trade, right? Like I just told you all that setup. It will fire once that condition's met, and then you'll get an update on the dashboard where Neo will say, hey, analyzing that signal. He'll spit it back quickly and say, that signal, I do see it lining up. Here's what my concerns are. Here's my probability, I think, of that actually playing out based on the conditions that I'm seeing. It's gonna be sick, and so we're gonna go deep into that, guys. Like I'm telling you, as Neo evolves, you guys don't want to miss this. It's everybody in the room. You guys have heard, each of you said. I mean, you guys have seen the evolution of him already, and he's only been really live in beta for a week, since Monday. Not even a week, 4 days. He is going to be the heart of almost everything we do within the company. So, eventually Neo's going to give you, we've already tied him into Trade Vision, right? So when you click Trade Vision on here, you're literally talking to Neo.
Hello, I'm Neo. I'm here to help.
Right, and you can ask him questions. We've already talked about Crypto Autopilot. He's going to eventually give you either signals or execute trades for you on your crypto, buying that, which is going to be awesome. We have this Trading Algo add-on, which is going to be awesome, where he's going to interpret indicators. How many of you guys get wrecked by indicators because you think you have a good read and then it traps you, right? And so that's how we want to continue that use case. Anybody who's interested in VIP, guys, look, I'm going to tell y'all, VIP, it's 50% off on that, so it's $400 a month. But in the VIP, you get access to all the indicators. You get access to all the sessions of that. The VIP, we've actually added it to where they can include into the mentor session. It wasn't really intended that way, but I'm good with it because there's a lot of other things that are perks within the mentor portion. The VIP is going to get access to like this, right? Any indicator add-on is going to be free, even through AI, right? The Crypto Autopilot would be free. Like all these things, as we build, that is the most important thing of why most people are signing up to the VIP. Because when you're in the VIP, right, you get access to future things. The price doesn't ever change, right? And so as you guys see, we are not shy from building. We are building very fast. We are integrating a lot of technology. And this price will not go down. It'll likely more go up, right? Because it's discounted right now. So you only have until all of our coupon codes, guys, right now expire on the 15th. We did a very aggressive launch deal where our indicators are $20. You know, the development programs, you know, $99.50. And all these are very aggressive prices compared to the industry, and they're only going to be valid until the 15th. So you're not going to want to wait if you're interested in any of that. We may extend it. We just haven't really decided. We gotta look through some things, but so many things that we're creating, guys. So many things that we're creating. So, but I got 11 o'clock, guys, on TikTok. I'm gonna end this. Appreciate you joining.